We acknowledge the Almighty Power who is the creator of this universe. We also pay respects to the elders and First Nations people of the Ngunnawal tribe and their sacred soil that we walk on. We pay respects to Her Royal Highness Princess Latufuipeka Tukuaho, who currently resides here in Canberra. We also acknowledge the leaders of this nation of Australia, and we also acknowledge our Pacific Islander community leaders here in Australia, and welcome all of you watching from every part of our wonderful globe. This is the Lo'au University program known as Storytelling. In this program we have an opportunity to look into someone's life and give them a chance to tell their story. Today, the 10th of November 2023, here in Canberra, Australia's capital territory, it is a rather beautiful spring morning and it is warm. We've been waiting for some warmth since our winter, and there is a promise today of 29 or 30 degrees. So here in the studio I have a young man who is visiting us from Hawaii or Hawaii. His name is Lopisoni Graham John Ma'ile, and all of you would know the Ma'ile family. Luisa Ma'ile Latukefu also is one of our programmers here on Lo'au University. So anyway, I'm rather excited to welcome Lopisoni Ma'ile here on program, and maybe I'll just introduce him and I'll let him tell you a little bit about himself. Thank you, Lopisoni.
Thank you, Luciane, and Lo'au University for having me as a guest to be on this program. Again, they said my name, but you can also call me Sonny. I'm from a little city in the island of Oahu called Eva Beach, and growing up there as a Tongan American, it's been exciting. As they say, I grew up in paradise, and I'm an island boy.
Of course, thank you for that, Sonny. As soon as you said Eva Beach, you know, it brings to our minds somewhere on the beach, beautiful sand, beautiful water, coconut palms, you know, it just brings that idea into our heads. Sonny, so you were born in Eva Beach, in Oahu. How many in your family?
There's 6 of us all together, but I'm number 1. I'm the oldest of the family, and yeah.
So you hold the reins, and you're the one that parents would say, Lopisoni, or Sonny, you should know better.
Yeah.
You know how the elders always has that you know, you're supposed to be the most responsible, you're supposed to set the best example for all your siblings. So those 6 in your family, how many are female and how many are male?
There's 3 girls and 3 boys.
Oh, nice, and you're the eldest. So I think your storytelling, it's about how you felt growing up, you know, in this wonderful place, and what's important to you. Like, you know, do you have a church group that you attend? What school you went to? So can we start on what school you went to?
School I went to, are you talking about high school or any?
When you started?
Started in elementary. I went to Holomua. It's a little public school close to my house, walking distance.
Oh.
And we call our mascot was the Voyagers, which is pretty
wow,
exciting.
Absolutely. Anything about voyaging that hits a note with us, you know, Polynesians, doesn't it? So you said Holomua? Holomua.
Yeah, it means to move forward in Hawaiian.
Well, that's, yes, well that, you know, also, not that I am, you know, I know too much about our language, but even we would say Holomua in Tongan. So Holomua in Hawaii. So that's your elementary school, and then on to...
middle school, I went to a private school called Lanakila Baptist. It was like a Baptist school. Yeah.
Yes, okay. That's still on the island?
Yeah, it was about approximately like 5-minute drive from my house.
Oh, isn't that nice? 5 minutes here,
Yeah.
2 steps here, very close. And then from there...
I went to public school, James Campbell High School, which is just a little further out, closer to the beach.
Okay.
Maybe 8-minute drive from my house.
Oh, how wonderful. What a wonderful place to grow up. And then from there, did you further your studies?
I went to the University of Nevada, Reno. It's a different state, so I went a little bit overseas for for
to mainland.
University. Yeah.
Wow, that's a bit of a trip, isn't it?
Yeah.
From Hawaii, so to Nevada.
Yeah.
Oh goodness! So how long were you there for?
I was there for about 2 to 3 years in a city called Reno. They call it the biggest little city. And there was a pretty good Tongan community out there too.
In Reno.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had extended family there that you.
Yeah, I had an auntie. She was married to the pastor over there at the Methodist Church, the Tongan Methodist Church over there.
Okay. All right. All right. So you were there for 2 to 3 years, and then did you return to?
Yeah, I returned back.
Oahu.
Yeah, I returned back to Oahu, to the University of Manoa, Hawaii at Manoa, and then finished my studies over there.
Oh, I see. And then, what next?
Then I was just working with my parents, for a little bit. Actually, I worked ever since I was young, because it was a family business. So if I had a free time from sports or academics or school, I just go to work with my parents.
That's how we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Hey. So what sort of business is your father into?
My parents are into, they have their own landscaping company, but we specialize in tree services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like the hair, like you gotta trim
Yes.
it, or sometimes you gotta chop it all the way off.
Got to go to a hairdresser to
Yeah.
do that, yes. And of course you need a tree surgeon to do all that.
Yeah.
Ah, I see. So I guess that'll be, you'd be busy, with gardens and trees and trimming and, because I know here, every once a year we need to have our trees trimmed. So you need a tree surgeon to come out and have a look,
Yeah.
I know in Tonga you just get someone to climb up and chop your tree down with an axe or something. So I remember doing that. There's no such thing as getting a tree surgeon in Tonga.
Yeah.
But I guess it's more specialised, especially in Hawaii. So with that growing up, Sonny, what were your family involved in? I know you said you were involved in, can we talk about the church?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I grew up Methodist.
Okay.
And then.
So that's Wesleyana in Tonga.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a Methodist church where you are, yes.
And then just growing up there, I go to Tongan language service, so language ministry. So my first language is always English. But
of course.
when I go to my service, I somewhat know what's going on, but I just usually just look up the scriptures in the English Bible and go back to the Tongan Bible.
So you do speak some Tongan, but you're not fluent.
Yeah, not fluent.
Yeah. But the Bible is a good way of learning. That's how I learned to read in Tongan, was the Bible. And I had a teacher, well, Siwa taught me how to read. Because I could speak, but I couldn't read properly.
Yeah.
So reading the Bible was a great way of, just, I guess, learning to read properly, because it's written in that, that sort of language that you need to know anyway. And hymns in church. Do you sing? Do you know the Tongan hymns?
I sing along, but I don't usually who it. I don't start it. I just sing along with whoever starts it, the punake or whoever does it.
Okay. So that's obviously the church was an integral part of your family life growing up, and you're all involved. Were your parents involved with the church?
Yeah, usually my mom's always like the secretary, and my dad is he's been the setuata for a long time, the lay leader for a long time at our church, and just always been involved with it, because my church wasn't too big, so like we always were involved in a lot of the things in our church, like cooking the food, or just doing youth groups and Bible studies.
So that's where a lot of your community activities was with the church. So did you do a lot with your youth group growing up?
Yeah, I did a lot of youth activities. Sometimes we just go out, participate in, like sports, like game night or Bible studies, and then we just do a lot of, depending on the holiday that we have, we do like major events, like we just had a Hallelujah night where we at our church, before I flew out here to beautiful Australia. We had a set up at my church, setting up the trunks of our cars,
right,
to give candy to the kids, and had our certain events over there.
So a hallelujah, what is that about? What's that celebrating?
Usually Halloween they celebrate.
Oh,
You know,
sorry,
it's like a
Halloween, not
No,
hallelujah.
but our event we call it Hallelujah Night, where
Oh,
we
okay.
like we flip the script.
Oh, I see.
So we just do it, everything for Jesus, but also make sure we don't take the fun away from the
From
kids.
the
Yeah,
oh, I see.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
yeah,
Yes. Oh, I see. So that the Halloween is Hallelujah Night.
yeah.
Yeah. So the lollies are of course there. They're
Yeah.
present.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's a great way to. I like that. I wonder if there's any other groups, church groups around the world. You know, our church groups that do that. Because I know Halloween is. There's lots of discussion about whether our children should be involved, and because it's a lot of people feel it's devil worshipping and that sort of stuff. But I think it is a lot of fun, and I like how you've done it.
Yeah.
So, Sonny, growing up in your beautiful part of the world, near the beaches and enjoying the beach and all that, but also enjoying all the other good things in life, how do you see, because we have a lot of problems all over the world with our youth. How do you see your community and how they deal with that sort of stuff? Is there any problems with your youth, where you've grown up or around your area, on your island? And if there is, how does our community in your area deal with that?
I think a lot of times, when you look, like there was a survey done, and my pastor at my church, he did his thesis on like the church. When you look at it, there's a lot of times you see there's a hole missing. Like a lot of the youth, they're not at church. It's either the elderly or the young. And so again, like the youth, there's a lot of problems like worldwide, but in my community, there's a lot of the drugs, the schooling, and then
That's exactly what I wanted you to talk about. So there's obviously the problem of drugs is everywhere, in the world, and it's in our community, sadly, amongst Polynesian youth. So how does your group, your church group, deal with it?
I think we usually just try to talk to it, because it's like it's our surrounding community. Like I don't see it too much in my own, because my community is small. I don't really see it too much in my church community, but in my community as a whole, we see it. And I think we just try to reach out, do some programs, but a lot of times we have to like brainstorm and come up with better solutions to what we can do, because we only can do so much.
I think your talk about your community, and that you don't really see the influence in your community, tells me that you're doing your job, that your community is working really hard to keep that at bay. Of course you can't fix the whole world, but if whatever you're doing in your little tiny community and your church community, your family is working, then you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Because we all try, and it's a problem that no one can see the light at the end of that, because it's just so much. But what you're saying is that your community is quite tight and quite unique, because you're keeping everyone involved in whatever you're doing.
Yeah, and then it's not only me, but like when you have a great team, when you have a work that's spread around, it's easier to be done. It's not making it easier, not saying that it's easy, but it makes it easier when the work is spread around. Like we seen earlier today, we seen our technician moving around doing this and that, the camera, but usually that's the work of many, but we see it our technician in the background doing all our camera and lighting and whatnot. It takes a lot of work, but again, when you have other people, like a team around you, it makes it more efficient and a little bit not too much, but a little bit easier than it already is.
Yes, and I was talking to some people who are in a church group here, and they were saying that a lot of their youth aren't coming anymore. And I was just wondering whether are the programs not including the young people? Are they not finding that they're being welcomed? Because I think it becomes the responsibility of the group. If some of your youth groups started not coming to church, I'm sure you'll be thinking, now what's going on here? Why isn't Sonny coming? Must be something happening there. So I guess on a smaller level, you can see it, but even on a larger, if it's say a big church here in Canberra, it doesn't matter how big or small, we still need to be proactive,
Yeah.
in making sure you take notice. I think sometimes we fail to take notice of our young people. I like the sound of your island and what you're doing in your community. So tell me, what sort of sports were you into, Sonny?
Sports growing up, the king sport is American football.
Of course,
Yeah,
yes.
so growing up, I always played that ever since I was young, all the way to college, and then I started to for fitness. Now I do basketball because it's a good
Okay.
way to. You also get to intermingle with other people, but
Yes.
also you get a good workout in.
Yes. So sport is a good way to engage young people, isn't it?
Yeah,
Either for fitness, but also to keep them included. It's an inclusive thing when you have sports, because when you look at a community that have a lot of those things happening, it actually holds the young people together and bring them in, and also it's a bit easier for us to notice who's not there,
yeah,
and if someone's not around or someone's not looking quite okay, then it gives the group leaders or even some of the young people, I guess a chance to think, now what can we do, eh? But in that, you need to have that group strong and cohesive, If you don't have a group that's cohesive, say the church group is, people are arguing and the leaders are doing that, how can you think that the young people are going to be wanting to be around that,
yeah.
There's a reason why young people stay away, or, there always is. No one does anything without a reason. Might not be a good reason, but there's always a reason. So, with sports and our young people, because we have such talent, amongst Polynesians, and the whole world knows how talented you young people are. And everybody wants, I think every time, I remember when I was growing up, when someone would ask me, where are you from? And I'd say Tonga. And they'd say, oh, you people can sing.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, where are you from? Tonga. Oh, they're good sportsmen, because the sports have become, sports and education, I think, have become quite prevalent in our community. Is there any way you can see, say with a group of young people, how do you see sports in their life as, because there's a lot of discussion, Sonny, about young people and sports, and the only notice they get is if Sonny's a very talented sportsman, we're interested. If you're not, we don't care. We don't really want to know you, so there's quite a thing about you only unless, and you hear stories of people who've become famous. They grew up, no one knew them, no one cared about them. All of a sudden they notice that they could play. Then there's notice taken. How do you feel about that? That there's only interest in our people if we can do something that's good for them, or good for the world, or good for that country.
I guess it's just common for people just to take notice if you're seen in that light, and then again, I just tell the people that we don't do it to be noticed. We just do it for the group cohesiveness and for our own stuff. Because I like sports because we keep each other accountable for each other. So like, if you see somebody, like you were talking about earlier, if you see somebody missing or they're feeling down, you go up there and you tell them, and then we play the sports for a different reason. We're not playing to be professional. We just play for our own health or for our own health.
For the enjoyment of it. I guess it's a different story when you find yourself being, other people being interested in you because you can do it really well. Is there anything else you can think of that will engage our young people? Because we've got a lot of young people that are lost, that are in jail, that are doing this stuff. Apart from the church and sport, is there anything that you can think might be, might be something that we can look at, or that governments can look at, or that communities can look at to engage our young people more?
I think just speaking out of my own experience, maybe just go towards the counseling. You know, a lot of counselors like to kind of get them more like involved and trying to spread more awareness of like there's people that you could talk to. You know, maybe a lot of times people don't feel free to talk like to like people that they're familiar. Sometimes they need a newer face to engage with and to like kind of get out what they're feeling inside. Just it's hard to see, like, you know, there's a lot of problems, but a lot of problems there's roots into it. We just gotta do more research and discover why this is happening. There's a like just
there is a reason, isn't there?
Yeah, there's always something. It stems from somewhere, but we just gotta sometimes put in our resources into looking where it is, and also pour our funds into maybe like more towards our teachers too as well. And I've seen a lot of strikes. It doesn't only happen like on the news, but it happens all around the world. A lot of times we undervalue our teachers when a lot of times they're the ones that's really helping to shape our society. Yeah.
You're so right. You're so right there, Sonny. There's always problems with, with education all over the world, and there's teachers are always saying they're not well paid. And I think, there's a couple of groups of people that I think are underpaid. They're the teachers and the nurses,
nurses,
because when I was just thinking of COVID and the work that, those medical teams did and nurses did, and I just thought, without them, where would we be? Because there were so many people, that were ill, and so many of them were ill. But I was just thinking, yes, teachers, they need support. And I think sometimes there's not, I remember, because I used to do a lot of programs with schools when I was working. And when I used to go and talk to the school counsellors, and I'd say, is there a problem? Do you see a problem with Pacific Islander students? And they'd say, we need more engagement from the parents. If there's a teacher night, we need the parents to come and talk to us, And I know it's difficult for some of our parents to go because they feel like they can't maybe communicate with a teaching community, but it is really, really important. You need to go and talk to the teachers or to the counsellors, find out how they're going, because sometimes your child might not tell you, but your teacher might see it. Their teacher might see it, and you might be surprised because I mean, a little side story. My son's youngest child, he's still at preschool. But, when his mother went in, the teacher there said, I think you better talk to him because he's been coming up with a few funny little words. And she was really surprised because he's, they're not allowed to swear or say any of the naughty words, and yet he's going to school and saying it there. So that, that's what I mean. Sometimes you don't know what your child is doing at school unless you talk to a teacher, So I think with our community, more engagement when your child is at school, doesn't matter from primary all the way up to college. I think it, to know what your son or your daughter is doing, you need to be talking to the teaching faculty at school. And that's a really good point. I was thinking also, when I was working and going into the schools, I actually had to run programs for the counsellors because they didn't know how to talk to Pacific Islanders or to Polynesians. They found it really difficult, and they said, you talk to them and they just stand there and look down. I said, but that's cultural. You don't stare at someone in the face. I'm staring at you when I'm talking to you, but culturally we don't. When you're talking to someone or you're being told off, you don't stand there and stare at them in the face because that can be shown as
disrespect.
Yes, disrespect. And they were really quite surprised. And I think when you're talking about teachers, I think it's important also that teachers know how to teach certain groups of people, from the Middle East, from the Pacific, from wherever, because we each have our different, cultural values and the way we are. Yeah, I think so, Sonny. So teaching the world to teach us, or to teach the children, I think is a really important thing. You know, when we talk about sports, I know that, you know, the World Cup's just, you know, lots of discussions about the World Cup. You know, lots of our boys are all over the world playing in the big teams. And then our Tongan team, we don't really have the, you know, we have the retired boys who come and happily play, but while they're in their prime, Australia or New Zealand or Great Britain or France have those men. Do you have any ideas, what do you think about that stuff?
I think it's, you know, a lot of times they just want to have go, you know, out to, you know, better their lives, and, you know, and to, you know, make,
money.
make a little bit money. You know, it's also, you know, they have their own responsibilities, their own families they have to look out for, and, you know, sometimes you can't pay your bills with kapapulu,
Of course.
you know, and
That's true. Everything costs nowadays. Yeah. But I think also too, I remember watching a documentary, and a couple of the people in there were the commentators from England. I think there was one from here. And they were just talking about, of course, everyone's happy to have Polynesians on their team, but maybe the world needs to look at Tonga and Samoa and put money into those countries so that people can stay there and play for their country instead of poaching them and bringing them out. So even though a lot of those people are, you know, have grown up in Australia, New Zealand, and they have that, but it was an interesting comment, you know, that they were thinking that needs more, and of course that's what they're saying in Tonga. We need money, we need resource to be able to teach, you know, because talent's growing every day there in the island, but they really need the resource, they need the money, you know. They'll never have the money that we have here, but just a little bit of support would be good, instead of just taking our players when they're ready. So Sonny, you're single, Sonny, and can I ask how old you are?
I just turned 30.
You know, they say that men should never get married until they're 40. That's when you're mature enough to be married. And I don't know whether you're going to wait until you're 40, but that's actually, you know, what they say. What do you think about, you know, that going on? Are you
marriage, you know, like I say, you know, everybody has their own time.
Yes.
And everybody just can't follow, you know, a certain principle or whatnot.
Or trait,
But it's always a joke, you know.
Yes.
A little joke. When are you gonna get married? And I always, you know, give them a little. Sometimes I like to have a little reply back, and you know, it's a good banter, you know, between each other. But overall, I just, you know, go on my own time, and then you know, pray about it and see, and then, you know, if I find the right person, then I'll know, and then if not, oh well, just keep going.
Well, you'll be a very lucky person to find you, Sonny. You know, my youngest son, he was over 30 before he even had a serious relationship, and he wasn't in a hurry. He was happy, you know, with his friends. He was happy at work, and I think, you know, sometimes we should not put too much stress on when are you going to get married, you know, when are you going to do this, or when are you going to have children. But I like your answer. I think that's a great answer. Do it when you're ready. Pray about it. Yeah. So Sonny, is there anything in your story that you'd like to bring? You know, because I was going to ask you about your extended family, because you've got a very well-known extended family, you know. I think most of the Tongan community know of your family, especially your grandpa, Maile. And even though he's passed and he's gone so many years, but they still talk, you know. And there's a lot of talk about your uncles, your aunt, you know, they're still pretty active at whatever they're doing. How much contact, or how much do you take from your, you know, from your extended family? From your aunts and uncle, your mum's family, you know, what are some of the important things that they've brought to you?
what I learned is, to always, remember your family, and also to stay humble, and work hard, but also work smart to be efficient, and
yes.
also don't forget where you come from.
Oh.
Know your roots.
You should never forget that.
Yeah, and if I could talk about all the lessons I learned from my extended and immediate family, we'd probably be here all day, but that's just the main ones I got from
them. Yeah. Humility is a big thing, hey? It definitely is. And I think your grandpa was well known. He was proactive man, doing what he did. Taught a lot of people, because even with my family, I think Louisa was saying that my uncle used to go and visit your grandpa, just to ask him about, because it's always good to have a person to go to. You know how you have a go-to person. I think your grandpa was a go-to person for many, many people. And he was so humble, what he did, him as a man. So I like that, humility is a big thing. Because we can be taken over by ego.
Yeah.
And we can think, I'm this and that, but, you practice humility, I don't think you can ever go wrong. Sonny, I know that some of your people, your family, your friends, will be watching this program. Is there anything you'd like, a message, some sort of message you'd like to send out to them this morning?
Just remember to tell your family that you love them no matter where they're at. Now there's technology, social media. It's easier to contact your family, just to know that, tell them that you love them, and when you have time, just try to visit them. Coming from all the way from Hawaii, it's family is a big thing for me, and it's a blessing, especially to have so many and so far and broad, and just to never forget where you come from, and also don't forget to thank God for all the many blessings that you have.
Absolutely.
And then one last one, don't be shy. A lot of times the younger generation are too shy to talk to, but just don't forget to, when you see somebody like that's around the same ethnicity or from the islands, you say hi, and then that's how you started. Because I would have never met you guys over here at Luau University if I didn't come and say hello and be shy.
Yeah, because that's, I think when we talked before about young people who are feeling, sort of not connected, what you just said, if you see someone, say hello. Sometimes maybe that hello could be the connection you make with someone who's maybe having a problem that day. That's so important. Make that connection and say hello, say hi. Because sometimes you see people that I think that's Tom. Sometimes I don't speak, but I always smile at someone, and sometimes even that connection is enough. To know I know who you are or where you come from. Well, I am so happy that you've been here, Sonny. It's been a pleasure having you on this program. And, even when you go back, you can still talk to us from Hawaii.
Yeah.
So maybe that is what, I'd like you to go back, when you go back, and think about something that maybe we can connect, and we can still do program. You can come through on a laptop or phone or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you can introduce somebody from Oahu to come and talk to us, because I think we're building connection now.
Yeah, this is just a stepping stone.
Yeah, this is just a stepping stone. And I thank you very much for coming in, this morning to this program. It's been a pleasure having Sonny here, and this is not the end of this. This is just the beginning of connection with Sonny. I think we're going to have lots of fun programs with Sonny all the way from his wonderful paradise there in Oahu. Thank you kindly, everybody, for watching today. Be kind to each other. Say hello to people. If you see someone that's maybe not quite, some of the young people, I think we older ones sometimes don't take notice of that, but we need to take notice of our young people. Keep them included, in church groups and all sorts of family groups. Try and include them, Just a hello and asking someone how they are might be all they need for someone to just take notice. Thank you. Malo au pito o whalai at kia mo tō